So basically, what I'm telling Spring is, next time, when you create a new IBAN, just magically inject it from somewhere, from the context probably, through load time waiving. So what I need to do is, obviously, I need to change how it's launched. So here, I will need to use an agent. And here, I will add a dependency at runtime, which is org.spring framework, and it's not H2, it's Spring agents. I try to make it work through IntelliJ, it doesn't work, so what I will do is I will use Maven, but it's the same. So I've created a Spring Boot run config, and I do the same. What did I do? I don't have the version, so I need to add version 2.5.6. And let's try again. And now, let's try. That is the hardest part in the demo. That one that has the most chances of failing. And it works. So here, basically, there is one magical repository that has been injected, even though I'm calling new IBAN. Who knew about this feature in Spring? Yeah. For all the other, it's magic, right? Actually, it's not. It's just that the Spring agent intercepts the class loading at runtime and tells you, hey, you make a new, but I will inject it at that time. You can do either load time waiving or you can do it at compile time. One of the reasons why I removed the transactional annotation on this transfer method is because it's hardly compatible with load time waiving. So I didn't try compile time, but that's the reason why I removed it. How can we go further? Because I want to go further. Well, IBAN and IBAN. Here it's a string, here it's a full-fledged IBAN. I mean, let's try to put one into the other. So what we could do is we could say that this is embeddable into the entity. We need, of course, to add getters and setters, because here it's for GPA, but we can be nice people. How I always call it, I don't remember, sorry about that, I forgot my shortcut, because I have everything is in shortcut. Column. So it must be like something like this. So I documented that this is because of GPA. I don't want it, but it must be like that. And now I can say that this account stuff is of type IBAN, and it returns an IBAN, and you set an IBAN. And normally I need to also change the repository. Yes, and here and now I'm able to search by IBAN directly. Compile it, check that It restarts. Yes. So now it's not there. The rest compiles perfectly. Yeah, it didn't start. Because it didn't compile, it didn't start. I need to redo it again. Uh-oh, I forgot something. Yes, I forgot something. Unable to build Hibernate, default enable. What did I do? Has anybody any clue? If I don't find it, there is always the nuclear atomic stuff. Git reset hard, and then to do like this, because I don't have that much time. Check out. IBAN, I will remove IBAN, and I will do that. Sorry about that, I probably forgot something, and I don't have time to check in too much details. But you will find the sources on GitHub on the last slide anyway, so don't worry about that. So I want to get all accounts. No! What happens? Demo syndrome. The gods of the demo are not with me. I've done it multiple times, and here is the first time that I get this error. Let's find it very quickly. Yeah, I had that last time because of this configuration stuff. So normally I should go to account, no, to IBAN, sorry. Remove transactional. Up. Sorry for that. Now we can see it's a live demo, it's not cheating. Okay, it still works. Now the difference, because it's embedded, I've got this nested structure of IBAN and number. And you might say, hey, that's not what I wanted, now I changed my contract. Yeah, but I mean, then there is your internal model and the model that you expose to the outside world. Because we are using Jackson underneath, then it's super easy to create a class, and let's call it account serializer, and to say a serializer, and then now I create my own serializer, take the structure that I want, that is my internal model, and expose it to the world in the way I want it. Now let's hope that in that case, yes, it still works. Nothing has changed. Okay, since time is coming of the essence, I will finish there. And basically, so you are using OP because of some reasons. I hope you are not using OP because it's OP and OP rocks. You are using OP because you were promised to have code reuse, encapsulation. If you are using getters and setters, you are not using encapsulation again. And this natural mapping with reality. Those were the promises of OOP. Thing is, by using a real-life framework, we had to use extra effort, we had to use extra complexity, and of course it's not finished, because the account still has getters and setters. So my advice to all of you is be super pragmatic. If you need to use OP, it's for the right reason. If you use functional programming, it's for the reasons. If you use an enterprise framework, it's for some reasons. I use enterprise frameworks because I believe that I'm gaining time in the long run, because once I know the framework, I don't think about stuff. And yeah, layered oriented architecture is not that great, but I showed you a layer architecture, everybody was familiar with it. So your code becomes more readable. If everybody tells you, hey, you need to apply OOP, always ask why. If it creates more hurdle than benefits, then you have the right or the duty to question it. Right now it's a time where object-oriented programming is not that fancy. Now it's functional programming. Who here is a functional programmer? Who here believes that functional programming is much better than everything else? It's fine, guys. You are not shy. Hey, one guy. Good. Two. Perhaps three if I wait a bit more. Three, yeah. Four? Who wants to be? No. Guys, this is an eternal debate. Every generation thinks that something is much better than it was before. Please remember, be pragmatic. Use the tools that are most useful to you in that case. Know object-oriented programming, know functional programming, know everything, because the more things you know, the more tools you have around your tool belt, and that's great. But if you know all the things, also understand that there is a context. There is no an ultimate best. There is only one thing that is more adapted into this context at this moment in time. If all your entire development team is using object-oriented programming, yes, you should let them know about functional programming, but don't do your functional programming stuff in your own corner, and so that the software will be like mostly object-oriented with one small corner of functional. Okay, thanks for your attention. This is my blog, this is my Twitter account. You can find the sources for the application on GitHub, and here is an article that tells you in detail about everything that I told you so far. I'll let you take some pictures, and afterwards I will move to the questions panel. Good? No, some pictures yet? Good? Everything? Yeah, I switch. Injecting repository to a domain object seems ugly. Why? How can we avoid it? But there is no magic in that. Either you want to apply object-oriented programming and you need to let the object be able to do stuff with the database. Your object needs to interact with the outside world. So there are not that many options. Either you inject it manually, like I did in the first place, or you let it inject automatically, as I did in the second place, at runtime. A third option is to wave it, like if I don't know if you remember something called JDO. Who remembers JDO, Java Data Objects? I'm super old. There are other people, but I'm still super old. Basically, JDO was an old way to do like GPA. It was before GPA, and basically, when you compiled your objects, you like compiled additional stuff into them. That's the third way. But there is no magic. I should click, so I click, and now I click again on the other one. considering your age, no offense, fuck. When and by who we got injected of this poison, getter, setter, service, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, it started with Java Beans. There is something called the Java Beans specification that tells you that for every attribute you need to have a getter and a setter so that it can be manipulated by every framework which has no prior knowledge of your class. So you could basically do like IDE-driven development. You could like say, hey, I want to create a new class of this, and then you can see its properties. And in order to see its properties, then you need to have those getters and setters. You might notice that I don't remember, yeah, it was Clément who mentioned Quarkus. There are also Micronauts. They are using like ahead of time compilation to introspect your class without the need for getters and setters. So it might change a bit. Service layer architecture, I'm sorry, I'm that old, and it was my way to learn Java and Java EE, so I never thought how it got into our system. I guess, again, it's what you learn in school and the principle and how it's in real life. And real life, we need to be productive, we need to apply standard patterns. So I cannot answer this second part of the question. And any tutorial has it, because probably if you want to start coding today, you want to use a framework. I mean, yes, you can probably write your LOL application without using any framework, that's fine, but you need to be productive.
I just want to add something to in my opinion, MECW controllers that are live and hibernate to the model or live and sleep, and I think sleeping is puts the service to our life, and we affect the applications tired after these projects technologies, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, again, be pragmatic. If you think that you are more productive using object-oriented programming, I mean, do. If you want to mix object-oriented programming and an enterprise framework, I showed you how you could do it. I think it's a bit of effort, but you can do it. So whatever rocks your boat. So same question, does IBAN really need to know about account repository? Well, it needs to know, but the thing is, it doesn't need to let you access it inside. So that's why you might want to have it like private, not let anyone access it. Even when we use polymorphism on our projects, sometimes we need to use else switch statement to create appropriate object types. What do you think about it? That's an interesting view. I guess the only time when you need to do it is when you probably already have a factory, and depending on some parameters you want to create a type of object or another. But for this one I would probably need to have the codes, because it's a bit abstract there. So Gökhan, come to me afterwards, show me some code, and then we can discuss about it. Up. If writing S clauses is not acceptable in OP, then we should not write if clauses, but how? No, that's the point. If is acceptable, else is not acceptable. If is acceptable because actually that's the point. I mean, we need to have some degree of control flow. I mentioned the else because if you've got an if and an else, that probably means that those two different statements need to be in different objects that inherit from the same abstract class. So you don't need an else, but you need an if. And I think we might be done at this point, or I should continue. Why did you shred an entity? I don't understand the question. Who is MCY? Can you please let... Does anybody understand that question? Shred like kill, like destroy? Ah, I shared an entity. I shared an entity? Shred or shared, I still don't understand the question. Why did you share an entity? Sorry, come to me afterwards, I don't understand it. Sorry. On the Ibanez account?
Okay, on your demo,
Yes.
between the IB class and the account class,
Yes.
there was a cyclic dependency, right? So maybe the question is about that. You reference account from IBAN and IBAN from account.
Okay, let's check. I can answer this question much easily. Come after me and after the talk. Why I remove transactional? I remove transactional because actually transactional at runtime means that Spring creates a proxy around the class. And that proxy gets mixed with the load time waiving. And so I have an issue because I cannot have both the proxy and the load time waiving. So again, it's an issue. I try to do my best. Sorry. I try to do my best, but I cannot get further. Well, thank you for your attention, and I wish you a nice day.